Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to the second episode of LDLA Podcast. Mr. Enrique, hello, how are you today?
I'm pretty happy to be here again with you. And yes, this is our second edition, and I'm so happy to be with our second guest. The first one is 11th grade student, Martin. Hello, Martin. How are you?
Hello, Mr. Enrique. Hello to everyone. I'm glad and I'm grateful to be here with you, sharing this special moment and to be part of the LDLA podcast.
Thank you so much. And the second guest is a teacher, which is a new one here. So, Mr. Sebastian, how you feel today?
Hello, thanks for the invitation. I'm very glad to be here and very proud of this project, the podcast of our Liceo de los Andes.
All right, thank you so much. And as usual, probably you are asking yourself which one is the topic that we're going to have today. And for that, Juan Camilo has the answer. Juanca.
Okay, we have seen how in society the social networks have been a very important and strict point in our lives. Even in control, we can add the concept of manipulation. That's one thing that we can add. But I want to ask you, in terms of society, in terms of the school, in terms of our students, what is the role of the social networks in the current society? How do you see it? What do you have for us?
Okay, in first place is a main role. The problem here is that our students, our community is very involved in the social networks, and the consequences are in a way very negative and in another positive. I have to say that we have used in a bad way the social networks as a tool, and I think that the worst consequences are in our mental health and in our physical health too. But what kind of health are affected in a very negative way. Here we have a problem that we have to confront today.
All right, pretty much interesting. Martin, what's your opinion about this starting?
Well, I agree with Mr. Sebastian, and I want to say that this is even worrying in the teenagers that we know, because the teenagers are developing anxiety, depression. They depend a lot of the social approval that they have on the social media, the social networks. So that is really worrying especially in my society, because I'm part of the school, and it is evident for me to see how the self on the social network is a part of every person, every partner, every student of the school, and not on the school. I can say that in each of us, the cell phone is part of us, part of our lives, whether we like it or not. The social networks play a really big role in our lives.
Right.
Okay, I want to start. Maybe the example I'm going to place is quite stupid, but I don't know if you have seen the movie WALL-E.
Well,
In which you have like a robot that finds a robot, and he goes to another planet, and in that planet there is a bunch of bad
Oh, yeah.
living in the cell phones, and they are very worried about the cell phones being connected all the time. And the only thing that you care about is eating, and getting in your phone. I want to place that a very silly example, but taking into account the concept of interaction. I believe, as the information, it is the time in which we are more connected, but it's the time in which we are less interacting with others. What do you believe about the social interaction, taking into account that we live in the social networks society?
Okay, the movie is not as a bad example or a childish example. I think that it's a serious, very serious example, a good example. I think that is an Orwellian example of what we are talking here. The main problem here is that the interaction is manipulated, because our minds are manipulated to be beings more thinking in a consumer way of living, And the problem is that the interaction is more. I like to be see like a product. So I see every person, not very consciously in the most of the times, but we think as a product, and the interaction is like that, and the social media, not only social media, but is making us products all the time.
Exactly. Very good.
Yeah, also a really important part of the communication is to be like physical, like to have the other person in front of you, to have like a chatting, not only online, even just in reality. But for example, how can you do this podcast without seeing each other, without talking? So it's worrying. It is true that the social networks keep us more connected. We can have a call and call someone, and we are just near to the person because of the call. But it's not the same to talk to another person through a cell phone, through a call, a video call, for example, than interacting with him or her in reality, in real life, like to have a chatting
face to face.
Exactly, to show the emotions to the other person, to show the corporal language, that also is a really important thing. And those are types of things that the social network maybe is falling into the error.
Okay, I want to add that we create a mask about ourselves. So it's not a real product. It is a mask, and we have to sell that. And this real image of ourselves is creating mental problems. So we want to be perfect in the perfect vacation, with the perfect meal. I have a lot of friends. I have 2,000 people that is following me, and that creates a version of our lives that is not only the main problem is that it is not real, but the main problem is that mask affect us in our relation every day with our lives.
Yeah, let me tell you. Let me say something and continue with the conversation. As something important what you mentioned. Exactly, we create a mask. So it's a society in which the most important thing is happiness. But what kind of happiness? Probably it's an empty happiness, all right, superficial happiness. And how our students or young people are in the middle of that? Everybody is creating a false happiness. So what is the role of happiness? Well, yeah, we are talking about social networks, definitely, but probably it's important because it's something that is happening in the society, like a social illness, to create a false happiness, and we and create and believe in that. So what do you think about that? The false happiness in the middle of social network. Sorry, in the social network. What do you think? What is your appreciation about it?
Well, I think that the concept of happiness is really difficult, because as we can see in the social network, you show to the people what you want to show. Yeah. For example, showing a good trip, showing a good meal, showing a good photo of yourself, but you don't show everything about yourself. You're just showing a little part of your life. And that, relates with happiness, because you are depending on what others think or see of yourself. Yeah. So the social approval that we are creating is really, really big, and we are depending not only on the social network, we are also depending on what others think of us. So maybe this happiness is seen in a bad way.
Illusory, no? I wanted to add a compliment to the question of Mr. Enrique to Mr. Sebastian, to answer it maybe in a better or a complex way. Yes, I totally agree with you that we live in the society of the spectacle, no? In which you have to show yourself and you have to wear the mask that you offer it to the people. But what happens with the things, or what happens to the emotions of the people that try to live the society in a way of the fast things? Yes, for example, back in the days, you to meet you with one of your friends, you have to go to the house, tell him to go to, I don't know, conquer a girl, let's call it. You have to go deliver a car, whatever. Nowadays, is everything very fast. You only send an emoji or a happy face, and you have now the interaction concluded. There is not the step by step that is going to have like what we are missing, the real happiness. What do you believe of the fast thing society?
Okay, before I want to talk about a psychological concept, the locus, when your self-esteem is based on the external influence, is called it an external locus. It is a very relevant psychological concept. Why? Because now the social media and the social networks have the ability to manipulate us to create external locus. Okay, so what is the problem with that? That the internal locus that allows ourselves to create ways to support our self-esteem based on internal factors is lowering day by day. Okay, so the problem with the mask is that the mask is not for myself. The mask is for the others, and that makes us a society with a pathological tendency to the external locus. And your words remind me the importance of the pause and the way we live our lives with not in a slow motion, but with consciousness and awareness of what we are living. I think that the problem of the tendency of the fast lives, the fast foods, the fast relation, Bauman, the philosopher, called it liquid relations. So we talk about serious concepts here. The problem is that we have a food that is fast, but is more serious when we talk about a relation. I have a girlfriend, and it is a fast girlfriend. And the social networks provides that. Why? Because you can have a fast friend and a fake friend. And the relations, the interactions, are mainly make us with attention to a mental state of illness.
Exactly.
Because of the mask, of the fast and the liquid relation.
Exactly. Pretty much interesting. No, it's something like just easy come, easy go.
Yes.
So we are in hurry all the time.
Or not interested, but the objective, no more.
Exactly. And we are not present, which is, we are not present. Probably we are in 5 conversations here, but in which one we really are. And especially when we are talking about manipulation. And we are in the middle of nothing sometimes. Social networks were invented to communicate and to interact and to create community. But what is creating is just the antithesis of it. All right. Martin, how old are you? You are like 16?
I am 16 years.
You are 16. You have social networks? You look younger, yeah, no.
Yeah, I do have social networks.
You do have. All right. Which ones? You got Instagram, Facebook. Which one is your favorite one?
Well, WhatsApp, because I speak with a lot of people there. But the second one is Instagram, yeah.
Instagram.
It's like a tool, not the WhatsApp.
WhatsApp is like...
Instagram is more like to
relax, to pass the time, to waste time.
Show off, to show off, or to show off. What about TikTok?
Yeah, I
use TikTok.
I use TikTok.
All right. Do you consider that sometimes you are manipulated, that you are wasting your time when you just stick, when you got to stick in your cell phone time by time, hour by hour, or how is the experience? Just physically, just...
Well, I think that, of course, the algorithm shows me everything that I want or they suppose that I want to be. There's a serious key here, and it's the prediction. They, for example, TikTok tries to predict what you are likely to see, what you like to watch, what you like to hear, and of course, the algorithm shows me the things
What
that
you
I
want.
like.
Exactly.
For example, I think that the main objective is just to pay attention and not just that. Sorry, also to keep scrolling, keep watching, keep connected, and
the time.
exactly all the time, and to be distracted. But I think, well, I'm really thinking, because when I'm seeing TikTok, I'm not thinking at all.
Exactly.
And when I think in a critical way, I know that I'm not doing something productive for my life. I'm just wasting my time seeing at things that they want me to see. They want me to consume.
So, and even the likes and dislikes, robots.
And also, I think that another thing that is worrying is anytime that you hear a vibration that comes from from your phone, it's like a sense of dopamine. Yeah. So it's like, oh, who write to me? Who text me? Yeah, for example. And you're always like paying attention of what happens in your telephone, in your social networks, in your virtual life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes you do not pay attention in your real life. So
I want to add that WhatsApp is manipulating a lot of our way to communicate. WhatsApp, and we can see the way we write in WhatsApp with our fingers, and the shortest message. We have students that cannot read a novel. Why? Because that they are instructed and manipulated to all the days read.
A fast writing could be
A liquid way, As for the workers, it's the same thing. We are in a decline of our relationships in the networks in our life in other contexts, like the working context. Okay, so I think that we have to pay more attention that in WhatsApp we have an emoji and we think, oh, what a beautiful emoji. But that emoji is restricting myself. Why? Because it's a happy face, and that happy face, there are so many ways to show that I am happy, and I have a programmed face that say, oh, I am happy. And the problem is that is restricting what is the
real
word.
emotion.
Yes, what is the real emotion? And we are being manipulated to constrict us to a certain way to express our emotions. The emoticons are, because not everybody can design an emoticon. I know how to design an emoticon, but not everybody knows that. So we are restricting ourselves with our conscience in WhatsApp. And Instagram, for example, that is designing more for image. And the name Instagram.
Yeah, exactly.
Instagram is manipulating our minds to a low levels of attention. I am a teacher. I am concerned by the levels of low attention of my students, but I know that they are being manipulated by Instagram because they have a relogram is only
Like
how
12
many
seconds.
seconds?
Like 12 seconds.
Like 12 seconds? Yes, but and I am talking to my students, and they minds go up, and I need to them that their presence. So this is one of the problems. We are manipulating them, and why the economy needs that? Well, it is clear that if the economy needs that they consume more. They need that change their attention in in the worst way to understand happiness to other products. So I have to pay attention to them. And we conceive it as products, so I have to pay attention up to many person at the time.
Great.
Okay.
Exactly.
And oh yeah, if I can, I want to add something more.
You're here for
You're-
thinking.
You're not paying attention to the reality, and something that is beauty about the life is the reality that we live in. Not only the person, also the environment. For example, we have here a mountain near to us, and we don't appreciate those things that, for example, in other civilization, in other societies, they don't have the types of things that are as beauty to contemplate, that are as beauty as the ones that we have here. So it's worrying, and also that represents a danger in the literature world, in the world of the humanity skills, the humanity subjects, because you are not in the capacity to read a text, for example, to have critical thinking, because everything, as you said, is fast. Is like the capitalism.
Yeah.
The faster the way you do it, the better. So
For production, no? Okay. I want to close the talking with a question that is probably very familiar to you, but I believe as you a Spanish teacher as well. But with the book, I believe we have the two books, no? The 1984 and A Brave New World. But I want to specify in the concept as we have been talking. But what are the effects of it? And about the reduction of language. What are the consequences in us in having so much day by day the reduction of language, as you were mentioning, in emojis, in the contraction of words, and so on and so on?
The first consequence is the distance between the people that use much more words, and the more affected people is the poor people. Why? Because they are using less words every day. The study shows that an average student in the third grade maybe use a vocabulary daily as 3,000 words. And,
or less.
Or less, yes. And in the other corner, we have a student for a private school with a lot of resources, and they use six, maybe more, 1,000 words. So, yes, so this social media is affecting the lower classes. The problem here is that phenomenon, there are many people that is conscious about it. So if you go to Silicon Valley and you ask the CEOs and the main owners of the enterprises, the technology companies,
The biggest.
their sons and their daughters are not using technology.
Exactly.
No more, yes.
Yes, so I think that we have, if we want to take some actions, but because I want to talk about solutions in the end of our episode today, if we want some solutions, we have to spread the action of constrict the time of using of the social networks in our childs, and that measure is used by the most powerful people in the world. So I think that we can do that.
Thank you.
Teachers, families.
Okay, and in relation of 1984, in 1984, there is something that it's called the newspeak. It's like a type of language the main objective is to diminish the range of thought. And we can see that in reality that happens because when we are writing something and we use contractions of the words, we use emojis, we are limiting what we are truly feeling. We are not expressing everything, as you said. A happiness emoji is not all the happiness that you're feeling. Even sometimes you're not feeling happy, and not for all emotions there is a type of emoji or a contraction of a word. It's really difficult to fight against this type of language, of course, but I think that controlling this addiction and also to not letting lose the types of things that make us human. For example, the reading, the writing with pencil, not in a screen. Those things that make us humans, to not let that go, to not let that lose in a cultural heritage. We have to have that capacity of have like a memory, a historical memory, that what we are is not only a screen, is not only a cell phone, is not only a computer, is not only a console of video games. We are also humans that need to communicate, to interact, to read, to write, to express, to swing, to sing, exactly, to do a lot of things that are always limited with just a telephone.
Right.
Okay, about the two books that you mentioned before, I want to quote the drug that is the soma.
Oh, yeah.
The soma in the brave new world. Yes, we have the soma here and now in our cell phones everywhere. And in the other part, you see how the relations in a brave new world were affected by technology. The religion was by the model of Ford. Yes, and the person were products. So I think that's Huxley products. So I think that not only the language is that two books are very accurate in the way they show our society. And when they ask the journalist, ask Orwell, for example, in what you were inspired to write these books, he says the BBC of London. He is not talking about the Stalin or the Hitlerian society. No, he's talking about the BBC.
The BBC Real Life and the Future.
Yes.
Really appreciate your presence here. Every single comment that you shared with us was amazing. You enriched this podcast. I'm so happy to be here. And this is, of course, this is open. Time is short.
Enough.
It's not enough. Never. Okay. But I would like to finish with something. I consider that the topics are really linked. Okay. The first one was about decadence of art. But now I consider that we talk about social network, but we are talking about decadence of language, probably. The decadence of relationship. So this is open. Thank you, Juan Camilo. And it's all for me. Thank you.
Yes, I wanted to conclude this session with a question, as usual. It's a yes/no question. Mr. Sebastian, Mr. Martin, do you feel nowadays, do you feel manipulated?
Yes. Of course.
Yes. That's it. Thank you very much for being today with us, and we see you in the next chapter. Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye.